In a landscape rendered anew by technological change, it's the spaces between the human inhabitants that are equally likely to control the narrative. Each element in the frame is as indispensable as the next. Sometimes these can include articles of street furniture, which punctuate the image. Take one element away and the balance is lost. For nearly a decade now, I've taken a concentrated snapshot of London, particularly the City of London, called The City, in an endeavour to create a photography which is both pertinent and contemporary. I'm concerned here with how to photograph today's city. Is it enough, like street photographers of old, to candidly record the churn of modern life, the disorderly vitality of a city's streets, or have other factors crept into 21st century living that alter the city's orderliness or cohesiveness? What new external influences play upon a city's people, and how, and at what point in our increasingly designed environment, do those influences manifest change in those people's behaviour? How might a street photographer today, therefore, capture and record these changes? It's become very obvious that technology has caused behavioural change in both overt and subtle ways. It connects us, but it has been instrumental also in disconnecting many from real society. The omniprevalence of digital technology, I feel, has shifted our sense of belonging to a community and influenced our daily lives. We read, write, hear and see differently because of it. It follows, therefore, that my response as a street photographer should be to photograph and document the city differently, and in the process attempt a different form of street photography. The street habits of today's citizens clearly differ from those of half a century ago, and have inevitably changed the look of the street scene. Mobile phones, headsets and other mobile paraphernalia are ubiquitous features. Many interact with them firsthand rather than with other humans in this modern, digitally mediated society. In the city, what was once the creative experience of an interactive and social stage has now given way to a walled community of media users who pass by on their way to more personal experiences. There's a pervasive absence-presence in evidence. So how do I, as a photographer, construct an aesthetic which addresses these changes, one which comments relevantly on our time, but which resonates also as a documentary record? Adhering to the rules of candid street photography, I often build shots by waiting for satisfactory outcomes in real time. This, according to other commentators, is perhaps why these images ring true as documentary. Extensively, I've used photographic layering to make a comment about aspects of human behaviour in cities. It's a particular technique I've chosen to make a body of work which, I feel, gives visual expression to the human condition now. Humans are photographed at near or middle distance, or into the far distance to a point where they resemble graphic dots. In these photographs, the built environment, static and inanimate, is the stage upon which unevenly paced walking choreography is played out. The humans, who bring the animate, are spatially arranged as though carefully directed. They appear to have been preconditioned to act like automatons or self-absorbed passers-by, uncannily acting out parts in mental isolation. I'm looking for rhythm in moving figures and to have them separated visually within plastic space. In a landscape rendered anew by technological change, It's the spaces between the human inhabitants that are equally likely to control the narrative. Each element in the frame is as indispensable as the next. Sometimes these can include articles of street furniture, which punctuate the image. Take one element away and the balance is lost. Much like Giorgio Morandi's poetry of the mundane, those spaces between, the shadows and weights of tone, are arguably as important as the humans themselves. Even though I'm working in a real environment, shooting it in this way can give it an unreal look. Perhaps the influence of digital technology on the city is already illustrating the boundary between the real and the virtual world, like Godard's Alphaville, which, through deft use of real locations, transformed a real city into a science-fictional one. Is it in this city, then, that we are witnessing our very existence being subsumed to the point where we humans become akin to scannable barcodes? Having undergone a program of digital mapping beginning with the Human Genome Project, perhaps the recent pandemic offered another portal to extend this. Could our seemingly robotic formations be a precursor of a time when we are no longer able to discern what is human and what isn't? Accordingly, the characterization in these photographs is dialed down to minimize the human element, to illustrate the sense of anonymity and facelessness in the modern city. Individual feelings appear subordinate to the feeling of detachment. Many wear the look of no one at home, or just a plain deadpan. There are suggestions here too that we're inadvertently forming a symbiotic relationship with our environment of corporate and functional backdrops. Many of these photographs have been shot in a half-light with a muted colour palette. That may reveal something sad or uncertain about these scenes, but paradoxically, there is an intention to transcend the mundane by sometimes making comical comment, underscoring the idea that we know less than we think we do. The world has never been, nor ever will be, wholly rational after all.